You want to introduce?
Okay, this is Lori Collins,
This is Peter Collins.
and we're here to review BlackkKlansman.
That's right. I just saw the movie this morning, so it's fresh on my mind. You want to start with your impressions of it?
Okay.
Well, what
Yeah.
was it about?
Well, first off, the movie's called BlackkKlansman, and it's a true story that's about a policeman, Ron Starworth, who in the 70s or early 70s wanted to become a police officer, and Colorado Police Department offered him that chance. But now with that, they had I would say a black official for the city, and the police chief, who was white, of the Colorado Police Force. I think Spike Lee did a great thing here. He was showing the dynamics between the two people, and I like to say that there's like a two or four-sided thing here, whereas the white police chief was saying on one side, I don't think you're up to this task. I don't think this is a good idea. But also then coming back with, can you do this? Are you going to have the fortitude to stand up to what you need to stand up to? And you need to do the job. Whereas the black official was saying, I think you can do the job. That's not going to be a problem. I want to know if when you hear some of the things you're going to hear, and they come at you in the way that they will come at you, are you going to still be able to do the job? So both of them were asking pretty much the same question. Are you going to be able to do the job?
Well, let's get to the point. Actually, the biggest thing about this movie, the story is he becomes a police officer and he ends up joining the KKK. And in the process of doing that, he goes undercover in order so they can stop the KKK from doing cross burnings and things in Colorado and during this time period. So that's the unique aspect of this story. You have a black man joining the Klan, which is crazy to think that this actually happened.
Yeah, especially during the 70s, if not, of course, sooner, but during the 70s, which gave certain developments, was able to give him a way to try to join the Klansmen. But it was a fantastic movie, and I would recommend any of you to go and see it.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I think one of the things, like the beginning of the movie, is you saw it before I did. So when you said the beginning of the movie was very intense for you, you want to explain kind of like how that is?
Yeah, the movie was pretty intense for me to get into. I usually can sit down and get right into a movie, but this one, it was a little hard for me to get into. I'm about 61 years old, so in the 70s, I was a teenager, and this brought me back from now in the 2000s, 2018, to back into the 70s, when we were talked to a little bit differently, when things were being handled a little bit differently, and because now there are certain, I would say, freedoms or just normal day-to-day life, that when going back to a period movie like this, it was very hard. It had to kind of snatch me back into the period. It was a little bit hard for me to get back there and then start forward with it.
Yeah, you're mentioning like how people talk to you and things like that, how they treated you when you're just trying to go about your life, trying to go about doing some work or something like that. And I had a different experience. The beginning wasn't as intense for me because I got light skin privilege. People don't treat me the same way And I was also younger than that during that period. I was probably, under 10 years old around that time. Yeah, definitely under 10 when these things were happening. So my experience, so the beginning of the movie wasn't quite as intense, but I kind of got what you were going, how frustrating it was for him to navigate becoming a police officer and being accepted and being put on, trying to get legitimate assignments. I mean, he gets there and he's immediately put in the file room, in the records room to do, and not really to do the kind of work like if you want to be a cop, you want to be out in the field and doing that type of work. So,
And just to lend you this, of course, you can see that I'm not very dark. So I knew some of my friends who were darker, like Ron Stallworth in this movie. I saw the trouble that they were having. So I can imagine if someone around my age who was darker skin, that came up around that era.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And that's the thing. I didn't know that this was Denzel Washington's son.
Yeah, I'm surprised that, Denzel Washington's son is starring in this movie, and he does a fantastic job.
He does.
Yeah, it's really good. And one of the things, he goes in to infiltrate the Klan, but kind of one of the points is he's sent on assignment to go undercover to monitor the Black Panthers, particularly Stokely Carmichael, who's making an appearance in town. And the police are concerned about him inciting people to violence and riot and the revolution, basically, which was the big thing back then. And so it's interesting, though, because the movie goes and shows both sides, how they feel they need to change, how they feel they need their place within the country, and their respect and status and how to be treated and things like that. So
right, because we don't want to go too far into it to whereas we are giving you any spoilers.
Yeah.
We want to more rate it, but one of the things that Lori was bringing up here, which was really interesting, is that as Ron Stallworth is asked to go and protect or infiltrate the Black Panther movement and find out what they're doing, and as a police officer to uphold the law, he goes and he sees both the good that they're doing, but the radicalism that he doesn't want to be a part of.
That's true. That's a really good point, because you could see them, at some points, how the message is like, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, and we come a family, we're full of police officers too. So I can really relate to him on this point. It's like, we respect the men in blue and the job they do and the difficult job they do, and we get it. We got family members who put their lives on the line all the time.
Right.
But at the same time, they experience and we experience, to differing effects, racism in America, and that's a real thing, and that stuff needs to change. So it does. That was really good for them to provide his perspective. There's a female that he's interested in and her perspective, and then you have the more radical perspective as represented by the Stokely Carmichael, who had changed his name, who I didn't know would change his name, so I'm really
You really lose your
I'm going to lose my black card on that one. That's, but so to show that cross section, and even the whites in this movie, they have a cross section of being extreme views and those who are more accepting, liberal, and don't view things that way. And you see people along the spectrum, and I think that's one of the strengths of this movie too, is to present those.
You know what? I think that's always been a strength of Spike Lee's movies.
Yeah,
is that
that's true. I agree.
He's been able to take it from both sides and not just push an agenda, which is really good, and I think that's why I enjoy a lot of his movies. As I do a lot of directors' movies, who's able to stay in the middle and say, oh, there's this on that on both sides. But one of the things that there are trademark Spike Lee things, and one of the things that, spoiler alert, that I will tell you is that there's a part where Ron Stallworth goes up to the Capitol building, and or the city Capitol building, and he looks up, and then he pats his natural, and that is a typical and maybe a Spike Lee trait. I've seen that in a lot of his movies, and I just, when I saw
like
that, I just went, Spike Lee.
Yeah, there are certain camera moves I noticed, angles and things, because he tends to like to do a lot of angles and camera movements that tend to disorient you, and you know, I love a lot of his movies, but sometimes some of them I loved on it, but at the same time they give me a headache, and I thought he showed real restraint in this movie, but yeah, by adding his touches, but just keeping this movie, like, the story was paramount, telling the story. Not that it's not paramount in a lot of these movies, but just, you know, just focus more on that.
Well, I think in telling the story, he took a lot of his cues from telling the story of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Which he took it and he told the story. Which I always
really,
like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because when I'm big in the superhero movies, so when they've taken the comics and they've used the comics as the story and as the source material, and they actually tell the story as I remember reading it, and not deciding that they have a better idea. I think that's always good, and I think that's what Spike Lee did here.
Yeah.
He said, let me look at the book, let me talk to the guy, and let's make his movie, not my movie.
Well, you talked about this too, is like not inserting himself too much into which, you know, Spike likes to be in his own movies, so, and you know.
And I thought this was great that he used his talents and was behind the camera.
Yeah, and did an excellent job. It's a really good movie. One of the things, so, I mean, great performances all around, you know, just really one of the things I like watching the movie, because you said you came back, glowing reviews, said it was intense, it was powerful, and one of the things that, so I'm going along, I was like, well, it's a good movie, but I don't see where the power is and stuff, and part of it is our perspectives and experiences have meant a difference for that, and you know, I thought it was a well-told story, but when it got to the end, the ending is just a gut punch. It really just ties everything together and really makes you think, really makes you feel, and just like, what have we been doing? Where are we? And in the last 40 years, it's really just kind of a blow to your system, a shock to your system.
Right.
And then that's where you come out of the movie going, just your mind blown, I think.
Right.
You know.
Well, and like you said, it's different perspectives from different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
They have a part at the end of the movie that I think was really well done. Again, don't want to tell too much of the movie, but it was more or less some things that I experienced, whereas you get on this train, you start, and you're just going down the track, and you're saying, okay, we're going to get to the end here, and you know, what's wrong is going to be solved and finished.
Yeah.
And then,
the hero saves the day and everything is great again. It's like, you know, that's what you want to, you know, you do that cheer at the end of the movie, and then...
And then all of a sudden, you get the, wait, hold it, we need to stop right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's cut it off, and you're like... Wait.
We get some reality injected into it.
Yeah.
And so you leave out of the theater going, oh man, I have to live in this world.
Right.
You know, I think so.
But again, just an excellent movie.
Yeah.
And one of the things that in an interview, the interviewer was very surprised because a lot of directors never want to tell the ending of the movie. Well, Spike Lee didn't exactly tell the ending, but he said, I'm letting America write the end of this
Oh,
movie.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And
Interesting.
he did, and
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, we still have to
very-
write it, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
It's-
the movie is
he's-
not
yeah.
finished. It was finished as far as its theatrical release. That was finished.
Yeah.
But
The
yeah,
job isn't over.
the job
is not over, and he kind of sends you out, now go to work. You
Right.
know, is
Right.
really, you know, so.
And what's interesting is go to work on both sides.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's everybody has their part in
Right.
solving our problems. You
Right.
know, it's not going to be solved by one side. It's not going to be solved by the other side. So,
Right.
and so yeah, so I thought an excellent movie. Everybody needs to see it. You
Yes.
know, regardless of where you come from, who you are, and especially if you're an American, I think it's critical. They could show this in schools. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It had a. It didn't have a documentary flow to it, but it is something to learn from. If you wanted to write a essay on it, definitely could, and you would get a lot of the points from the book. In fact, you would probably get 99% from the book, because I did go and I read the book afterwards, and I was surprised at how close it was to the book. The book did, of course, give you more detail and stuff like that. There is like all movies should have, there is some love interest. There are a few twists to this movie, but oh my God, I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, whatever you call yourself, you should go see this movie, because it is cinematography done in a very, very well done way. It's really good.
Just excellent movie making and important movie making stuff.
Yes. And if I was to rate this movie, I'd say a 9.9.
That gunfight, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That ending,
Yeah.
It was high up there until that. It was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it was probably a good 8.5 for the whole movie. It was a good movie.
It was a good solid movie.
Yeah, enjoyable. But when it got to the end, I would say it shut up to a 10. But I'll never
You
go
leave
more
a
than
little
9.9.
room for
I gotta leave a little room.
Okay. Well, let's wrap this up. I'm Lori Collins,
I'm Peter Collins.
and we'll see you next time.